say ahoy. Remember that these units are not owned by the rich and famous. They're owned by hardworking, middle class, and lower class earning Barbadians. And these are Barbadians too. We are asking this pitiful administration, where is outreach in terms of housing for ordinary citizens? We were promised so much in 2018. We're going to ask them the question, whatever happened to the land at Walkers that was earmarked for development? Walkers in that beautiful parish of St. Andrew, where those beautiful people come from. Can the former Minister of Housing, who was on ceremony dumped, and who represents St. Andrew still, well, up to a few weeks ago, he was still, provide any answers, since the current minister, who seems to have forgotten that he represents the people of Barbados, appears clueless as to what's happening in his ministry, and can only function when he's surrounded by the camera crews and swooning apologists. Comrades, the people of Barbados and the Democratic Labour Party have expressed their concern with the manner in which ministers of this current administration respond to queries on behalf of hardworking and much maligned taxpayers of this country. Imagine that you ask legitimate questions, posed particularly at the Minister of Housing. I know what his response was, that the DLP is misguided and cannot set the agenda for the Barbados Labour Party. Who gave them the mandate? Not the people of Barbados. Right. Was it not the same people who are not treated with disdain that gave you this overwhelming majority to govern, when you said you had all the answers, when you said you knew everything that was wrong with the last administration, and that you were perfect? Comrades, the Democratic Labour Party is not interested in setting any agenda for the Barbados Labour Party, because they won't know what to do with it anyway, as it relates to housing policy for the people of Barbados. We just want to know how our hard-earned tax dollars are being spent. The recent response from Minister Duguay to queries about allocation of houses was, in my view, alarming, to say the least. Comrades, the abrupt, discourteous, and supercilious language betrays an arrogance that is unacceptable, but that is what we have become accustomed to from the people of the Barbados Labour Party, and indeed their current couple of ministers. They don't have any ideas, but they can be rude. And we repeat, if the Minister of Housing, Dr. Duguay, does not have the answers, just tell the people I don't know what's going on. You are given an overwhelming mandate and purport to have all the answers to the country's problems, but the level of the dismissive behavior being displayed in a mere 3 years is, my friends, is disconcerting, and I would hasten to add, frightening. We, the people of Barbados and the people in the Democratic Labour Party, as I said, we are still awaiting the names and the terms and conditions of those contracts that were recently extended. We also want to know the type of tenancies that will obtain at the project at Kings Village in West Park Road. We want to know if it's going to be a rent to own. We want to know if it is going to be sold as individual units. And we want to know if they can use for political rewards and loyalty. These are questions that ordinary Barbadians are asking. Remember, comrades, promises were made to right all the perceived wrongs in the last administration. And another question for the Minister of Housing. Remember something called the Hayek Project? Right? We also want to know if the Hayek Project is a thing of the past. During the last Democratic Labour Party administration, there was much to do about the Hayek Project. We heard of environmental impact assessment studies. We heard of court injunctions and the like. We saw a private citizen unceremoniously stripped of their property to accommodate the Hayek. 3 years after, still no Hayek, as my friend said. What has become of the Hayek Project that was trumpeted by the government, and it was talked about transparency and accountability? I'm asking the question, is this going to be another Clearwater disaster? I said disaster meant development project. And I have another question for Minister Duguay. On behalf of the people of Barbados, when repairs to the Parliament building be completed, and I want to know who the landlord at the Warwick Court Business Center that the Parliament already occupied. I said, oh, you know what I mean? We want to know who the landlord at Warwick Court. We want to know. We also want to know how much is it going to cost to repair Parliament and how long it will take. Coming to that, I want to know who the contractor, whose friend, whose family. Want to see their terms of reference, their qualifications. Remember, friends, remember, comrades, they came into office promising transparency and accountability. So it should be difficult for Dr. Duguay to come and tell the public, well, X is the contractor and it will finish in December for Christmas or whatever. And I want to know also who owns the building in Belleville that the QEH currently rents as an operation clinic. I ain't finished with that one yet. But I want to know who the landlord, who owns the building, whose name is on the tenancy for that building in Belleville that the QEH is currently renting. Gordon 6th Avenue. Congrats, Barbadians have been played by this administration. They took them at the word, they followed the glitz, the glamour, the charades, and what has now become meaningless catchphrases. And now to a man, there is a sense of bitter disappointment. There's a sense of hopelessness. And indeed, there's a sense of frustration among Barbadians. Just stand in the line at the banks or the supermarkets or the credit unions, and the real people they don't want to talk hard because they're afraid. But they're venting their frustrations. The people promise so much. The only thing that they didn't promise is that to turn water into wine. But they promised that the last administration was so bad. And when they ask the question, what did they do that was so bad, they have difficulty identifying at least one issue that made it so bad. When the NSRL was removed, there was jumping and celebration. And now we're starting with the water tax and the gas tax, escalated fuel prices, escalated food prices. No, they don't want the sewage. The sewage goes into grandma's farm and it's killing the marine life. But then they tell the Oki and then further can come and tell that the sewage that was in the street now going to the swamp and killing the fish. Barbadians are suffering what we call buyer's remorse. You know, sometimes they go to the supermarket and you buy something that look like a pear or two pear and get home. The pear rotten, they say, but you can't get it back. They're sorry. In the 3-year period, this woeful and inadequate and despicable Barbadians, the party administration has been in control of the fate of Barbadians. We have seen the imposition of a number of measures aimed at destroying the middle class and further driving the lower class and the working class into a state of abject poverty. Absolutely. Comrades, we really need to let this Barbadians Labour Party administration take back its rightful place on the opposition benches where they usually have all the answers. We are watching this indecent rush to republicanism, to erase, as an attempt to erase all that His Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow, I said Walton for to erase the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow's legacy from the pages of history in Barbados. They want to go down as the mother of the republicanism, not under our watch. Comrades, not under our watch. Errol Barrow's legacy is too strong and too great to let some political movie destroy it. We will not sit idly by and let anybody, anywhere, destroy Errol Barrow's legacy, his contributions to Barbados and to the working class people of Barbados. I say to you, if you don't be careful, if you give these people another 5 years, we are headed straight into the bowels of the dictatorship. It has already started. It has already started. Placing Republic Day on Independence Day is an insult to the people of Barbados. Comrades, friends, we are not going into the next election to become an opposition. We are going to rescue Barbados from despotism and dictatorship. We are going to Barbados to lead it out of the current morass and confusion that now befalls it. Not one intelligent idea has come from the Barbados Labour Party since it's been in office. They had the chance to hit on the COVID petticoat. They blame COVID for everything. The crime situation, they blame COVID. They blame COVID for escalating prices in food. They can't blame COVID anymore because they can't get handled. They can't get dealt with. Comrades, let us be the guardians of our faith. Let us be strict guardians of our faith. I thank you.
Well, Mr. Harrison, it's a good thing that you never opened batting. Because I tell you something, Gordon Greenwich and Desmond Haynes would have been in trouble. What an opening stance there, my brother. Well done, comrade. It would be remiss of me if I didn't acknowledge among us keep disappearing on me. Our Vice President and our representative for St. John, our Mr. Andrea Worrell. All right. What an opening stance that was. And you led us well into where we are as a country and where we need to get to. And for me personally, I've never been someone who has ever settled to be second best. And I think we are positioning ourselves well as a party to take over the reins and be number 1, 2, 3, all the way down to number 11 in this batting order. Our next speaker hails from the parish of St. Andrew. Mr. Odwin Skeet.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, comrades of the Democratic Labour Party. And most of all, a wonderful good evening to the delightful people of the constituency of St. Joseph. Also, let me extend greetings to the people of St. Andrew. And by extension, those listening online and those who will be getting the information from the press that I heard, please help you here this evening, carrying the message to the people of Barbados, because we don't want to be preaching among ourselves. It's time that the Democratic Labour Party reinvigorate the people of Barbados with the gospel according to the Democratic Labour Party, and let the people of Barbados know that there's someone and a party out there who is willing to stand up and stand out on their behalf. And that party is no other than the Democratic Labour Party. It is lovely to see so many beautiful faces here this evening. And if I was nervous by any chance, I could look around at anybody and feel inspired to speak this afternoon, because the colors are lovely, first of all. And I know that blue is my favorite color, but some people like yellow and black, and I truly appreciate those colors. But we gotta hold on to the blue and the yellow and the black, because some things that are alleged to propose to happen in Barbados might just decide to take away the yellow and the blue and the black. So we gotta be very careful and cognizant of the things that we let go and the things that we hold on to. And the things that we hold on to are the things that are dear to us, the things that are meaningful to us, and the things that can inspire and uplift us as Barbadians. Barbadians stand on the world stage. We are not just parochial people, we are world leaders in Barbados. And we gotta get back to that stage as Barbadians. We are not here to let people trample our rights and trample our freedoms because they got totalitarian in Parliament and they feel that they can rub shot over the people of Barbados. The Democratic Labour Party and the people of Barbados will not stand for it. And I want the people of Barbados to know if there was ever a doubt, cast that aside, the Democratic Labour Party will fight for you. And it's interesting to hear Comrade Harrison, a man known to be around cricket for years, speaking about opening batting. Not talking about opening batting, but West Indies in a precarious position that West Indies were from out of a precarious position. Just consider that for a moment. The Democratic Labour Party went out of a precarious position too. When the odds are stacked against us, people are back to the wall, we get creative and intuitive, and we come out and do what we need to do. And if the West Indies are everybody's gas, so they can do it. Why can't this wonderful party of 60-something years stand up for the people of Barbados? I'm not saying that it's easy and it will get better roses, but the people of the Democratic Labour Party has to show the fortitude and the backbone and the insight to bring creative policies to the people of Barbados to show that we can take them from the position that they're in and put them on the pathway to progress once again. People in Barbados are going around. Some are holding their heads low. Some are sitting in corners. Some are in church praying consistently, fervently, in hope for some relief. Not only relief from COVID, not only relief from the ravages of Elsa, but relief from the clutches of the Barbados Labour Party. No longer can the average person of Barbados hold on to one job and sustain their families. It is increasingly difficult for a person to go to the supermarket and pick up the so-called basket of goods and come home and feed satisfied children. When you go into the supermarket and you come out, you have 3 or 4 bags. But when you get to the door, sometimes there's a hand outstretched, and it's not the hand of the Salvation Army collecting in the kettles. It is people out there who are suffering. And as we call it in local parlance, they're not paroles who are on drugs. There are people who have lost their jobs and are finding it very, very difficult to earn a living in Barbados. This is not the Barbados that the Democratic Labour Party fought so hard for. Our founding fathers had vision, put motion in place to uplift the people of Barbados. And 3 years since 2018, we have found that we are no longer progressing, but the people of Barbados are regressing, and we are slipping back into a recession. If you look at every central bank report, inflation going up, whether it's 2%, 2.5%, the cost of living in Barbados is astronomically high. And the people of Barbados are so hard to get Richard Branson or somebody who's fled to reach out their brain back now. Because the people of Barbados cannot reach the cost of living. Very soon we can call it the cost of death. And it's being realistic. When a man cannot feed himself and his family, the only alternative is what? He can go through sufferation. We are not here to sit idly by and watch our people suffer continuously. That is not the way of the Democratic Labour Party. People will endure hardships, yes. People will find difficult times. But these times that we are facing are perilous. And it's breaking the backs of the people of Barbados. The working class and the middle class are slowly but surely finding themselves being eroded by the ravages of this society, whether economically or by the means of crime. The crime situation in Barbados has spiraled out of control. And believe it or not, we are in dire straits, but people find it fear to walk away and go on vacation and leave the people of Barbados to fend for themselves. This kind of behavior cannot be right and cannot be acceptable. The people of Barbados must call these people to account and let them know that you put them in place, they're not there, but they want cognizance. The people of Barbados put them there and they should stand up and represent the people of Barbados. And you must let them know in no uncertain terms, this is not the kind of representation the people of Barbados want. You get fancy rhetoric, but press conferences is not representation. It is just public relation. But public relation and public education is not doing no good for the people of Barbados. The policies and practices that lead to the backdoor, that disadvantage the people of Barbados and disenfranchise the people of Barbados need to be exposed to the people of Barbados. But we find that the social commentators, some political scientists, the people that always have the know-how and the what to say, have convenient laryngitis when it comes to the critical things that are affecting the people of Barbados. I understand this. Whenever the pointed questions are asked, they always find some majestical way to sidestep the issue and reinforce other points that are not important to the people. When the pointed questions are asked, they sidestep them because they don't want the people of Barbados to put the government of the day under enormous pressure. But they say to you, continue to press the pulse of the government because they are there as your representatives. And if they can't answer to you, one day coming soon, they will answer to all of us. This administration is doing things in their mind that I like to feel. They're the first to get 30. They're the first to do this. But I want them to be cognizant. There's something else they might be the first to do too. Bear that in mind. There's something else you might be the first to do too. Be careful with the people of Barbados. Do not take the people for granted. What was hidden from the wise and the prudent, revealed now to the babe and the suckling. And the people of Barbados are not willing and standing for nonsense. Real people deserve real representation. And the Democratic Labour Party will give the people of Barbados, once again, real representation. I listen, and in awe sometimes, I wonder why it is that the current administration can't keep the last administration off their lips. They are so good at opposition that they cannot come to the fact that they're in government. Because all the ideas and the policies You know, this government seems to be a government walking in slippers because everything is just flip-flopping, backstepping, one step forward, two back. We are going nowhere fast, only downhill. No creative policies to lead the people of Barbados forward. You know that for the past 2 years, we have not had a budgetary proposal and economic policy set forward to take the people of Barbados forward. It cannot be COVID because it's still meeting in Parliament. And if you don't want to make a budgetary proposal, make a ministerial statement, but do something on behalf of the people of Barbados to alleviate the fears and the problems that they're facing. Don't just browbeat the last administration and beat your chest and feel you don't ever so great, because the people of Barbados, the average people, are feeling hardship. And in earnest, these are the same people who you are going to turn to for another vote. But these same people are going to turn to, but they're going to turn away from you. Because if you can't give the people some kind of relief, the people will leave you. If you can't bring the ingenuitive policies, people say when adversity comes, people get creative. We're facing adversity for the past 2 years. But the creativity. I know here the representatives for St. James Central when the DLP administration led by Van der Stroot was in office. And he was always use this statement. There are two statements that he would always use. The Democratic Labour Party is suffering from an implementation deficit, and they're suffering from inertia. But these same words are coming home to roost now, because the inertia and the implementation deficit is showing up the people of Barbados what the Barbados Labour Party is lacking at this time. And it's overworking the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister has to macromanage has to do everything. But when you got a rounders team, you got to expect that when they catch it out, you psych down. And that's what we facing now. We do not have anybody of significance giving any sincere hope to the people of Barbados. And speaking of hope, you know that there was a document bandied about Barbados called the Covenant of Hope that was supposed to have the answers to alleviating all the problems and the social ills of the people of Barbados. All they going to FBRC. Somebody got to got one and somebody. You mean they can't find them and find something creative to broker it? To help the people of Barbados in this time? What could dear man? You win 30 and you're representing 5. Something got to be wrong. Let's be realistic. You go from constituency to constituency, from supermarket to supermarket, from business house to business house, and the complaint is the same. When I see this body, I hear them from that body, will become a so-and-so. It's like the government of Barbados gone on a honeymoon and can't get over the 4-poster bed. The people of Barbados cannot wait for them to wake up of their slumber, get up and act on behalf of the people of Barbados. You took the people of Barbados in your confidence. You gave them all the fancy rhetoric they could get. You gave them all the promises that they wanted to hear. You gave them all the incentives to make you victorious at the polls. The people of Barbados gave you all the seats. I know you're giving the people of Barbados all DC. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. And I say this to you, St. Joseph, and the white of Barbados. Be careful who you shake hands with. Or in regulatory terms now, be careful who you bump elbows with. Every skinty is not allowed. And everybody that rubbing your shoulder, massaging it. While you are there working hard, people are reaping the sweets and are not sharing the fatted calf with the average Barbadian. The people of Barbados can hardly receive the crumbs. It is almost like Lazarus, waiting for the crumbs off a David's table. This is not satisfactory for a government who got total control, no opposition. But I can tell you this, a lot of things that the people of Barbados has been going through and are going through at this moment can be resolved. It can be resolved. But it takes persons who are willing to do the job for you, not for themselves, for you. There's a big difference between the love of power and the power of love. It's a significant difference. There are some people who will come to you and they'll find linen, but they don't have your best interest at heart. One-upmanship is taking over this island and the people. And I say this to you, we cannot allow for our history to be eradicated, for things that we hold dear to be wiped off, for the sake of a few who feel that they have a right to do what they choose. Whether some people say there's pedigree or not, I know that Barbadians have a sense of pride. It is not only in the motto for being their sake. Barbadians are generally industrious people who will put their shoulder to the plow and try to earn an honest living for their families. We have proven that time and time and time again. The founding fathers of the Democratic Labour Party saw this happening with the people of Barbados and implemented plans and policies to alleviate the burdens of the people of Barbados and help the life of the average Barbadian, who the leader of the government at that point in time said he moved Barbados from a collective village to a proud nation. We are proud Barbadians, but we must not lose sight of what it means to be a proud Barbadian. We must not let people trample our pride and our dignity. We must stand up for ourselves and let people know in no uncertain terms, thus far and no further. And I heard Comrade Harrison talking about some issues in terms of housing. And he was going across the length and breadth of Barbados. You know that when the Democratic Labour Party took office, but after 3 years, the people were complaining, wonder why the Democratic Labour Party building so much houses. You know, when we look around Barbados now, what part of the houses building? The only houses they see building now is really going to be nursery and see people building lower houses. For the children who are building blocks. What happened to the National Housing Corporation? What happened to the ingenuity policies that were left there by the last administration that I'd like to talk so much about? Something must be there that you can say, look, even though that the DLP started it, we can continue it on behalf of the people of Barbados because it is good for the people of Barbados. As a government, you must do good for the people of Barbados. But we don't see this happening. We don't see the necessary things that are dear for the people of Barbados. The average person, the lay person, they say, well, look, I can go by NNC and apply for a house. You got Grotto, you got Parish Land, you got Lancaster, you got Country Park Towers, you got Marchfield, Parish Land, Work Hall, you got Valerie. You got hundreds of houses for the people of Barbados. The average working class person say, well, look, through my industriousness, I have been able to achieve such. And it gives the people of Barbados a sense of purpose. We give the people right to own, to live their livelihood. We give them the ones who live in the houses over 20 years, we give you the title deeds for the people in the housing areas so that they can have a
that faces. And to address some of these issues, my boy, Mr. Randall Rouse, the local boy from the parish of St. Joseph, will be here to address you at this moment.
Madam President, all guests to the Joseph, let me extend that you are in St. Joseph and I am the champion for St. Joseph. Now, I told Mr. Smith just now, I was very impressed by the way how he presented himself. And I know that we have some person in St. John, Andre, who will be backing me up along the way. So we have St. John, St. Joseph, and St. Andrew. And it's our intention to bring these constituencies home for the Democratic Labour Party. Now, you will know that I'm going to talk about St. Joseph. When the president comes, she can talk about all the national issues that are around and all the concerns that the people of Barbados face at this present time. But for me, St. Joseph is for me. And we have a number of concerns in St. Joseph which our parliamentary representative refused to pay any attention to. One of the main items at this present moment would be the number of houses that was damaged during the hurricane and that are at this point in time being frustrated by the way how they're being approached. And we have a joker here who believes that he can dictate what persons in St. Joseph should have and who should have it. I say to him that St. Joseph deserves representation in a way that is beneficial to the constituents of St. Joseph. Now, these houses, I count 21 houses at this point in time that need repairs. And what is frustrating these people is that there are a number of government agencies. You have the National Housing, you have the Rural Development, you have DEM, you have the Welfare Department. Everybody just coming, asking the same questions and promising to get back, but nothing is happening. Now, you have some persons who took the advice from the Minister of Housing and submit a list of materials which they need to repair their houses. What have happened, I know of 2 instances where they delivered the galvanized, but no wood. And I would think that the first thing that should be delivered would be the wood. But from my standpoint, all I see is that these people are making a mockery of the people of St. Joseph. Now, I came from St. James. I was born in Greenwich Village, St. James. And I came out of a family where my mother was a very strong supporter of the Democratic Labour Party, George Moore and Joe Payne, and a father who tried to secretly support Lionel Craig. And I will tell you during the election period, when that campaign started, I learned a lot in that household because I was hearing from both sides the benefit of one versus the next. And from that interaction at that early age, I decided that my support would fall towards the Democratic Labour Party because it is the party that was after its average Barbadian. And then I leave St. James and I come to St. Joseph. I found that St. Joseph was completely different from the area that I come from, St. James. Because in St. James, you had persons who were looking after the infrastructure and economic advancement of that area. In St. Joseph, when I moved to St. Joseph in 1985, let me give him his name. Sir Richard was the representative. And at that time, in my opinion, he was showing no interest in the infrastructure of St. Joseph or gains to come to this constituency. I must admit that I have learned a lot from him. And admit that I identify that he tried to assist. So you got to give credit where credit is due. But I always tell him that he is supercilious. And he got on his skin every time I tell him that. But the representative that we have at this present moment is nothing in comparison to the good or the little good that Sir Richard did. We have a parliamentary representative now who is only interested in himself and his status. He is not interested in the LP supporters. His name is himself. And I think it's about time that we, the people of St. Joseph, and by extension, the people of Barbados, understand that we have someone who should be, at this point in time, doing everything that is possible to make certain that what is happening in Barbados is curtailed. And they're talking about the crime situation. In my opinion, he is the worst Attorney General that Barbados has ever had. I can remember during the last administration, every night there was something about our former Attorney General, how he wasn't doing anything to curtail the level of gun violence. I mean, every time the Marshal opened his mouth, he was critical about the Democratic Labour Party and the way how it was handling the crime situation in Barbados. Look at what is happening now. And you know, only today I reflect. And you know what I observe? Any administration always starts with at least two officials, Prime Minister and Attorney General. And I'm speaking on the correction, but I cannot recall ever both the Attorney General and the Prime Minister not available in Barbados. And I don't know, I hear they say that they're in Dubai. I don't know what they've been doing in Dubai. But, you know, we, the people of Barbados, have to call a spade a spade. Yes, in the last election, persons were, to some extent, frustrated of the way how certain things were being handled, and we got to be open and frank about this. I was frustrated. I ran as an independent in the last election. But it's not that I had anything against the Democratic Labour Party. I did it through frustration and to try to see if I can get in a position to do something to benefit the people of St. Joseph, the constituency. And I know that there might be persons that feel a little uneasy by my stance. But I also believe that you should never be ashamed of taking a position, which I did. Just like I take a decision to be the candidate for the Democratic Party in the next general election. And I'm telling you, it is my intention, along with, this is some women walking through here. Let me tell you something here, let me be easy. And we are going to make certain that this constituency becomes one of the arms of the Democratic Labour Party going into Parliament next election. You know, I listen to Ricky talk about the roadworks. I don't know how many of you know about the networking in St. Joseph, the road network. But one of our main concerns in St. Joseph are the infrastructure, the roads and the bridges. And we have a situation where we have at least 4 bridges in St. Joseph that need urgent attention. And the most critical one, in my opinion, is Melvin Hill Bridge. Now, that bridge needs to be restored. Can't remember here now, 19, I think it was in 2002. When they moved the lady that used to live below the bridge, Miss Lovell, with the intention, or they tried to give the intention that they were going to refurbish the bridge. And the reason they gave for not doing anything is that because of the position of the artery there, they would not be able to do a bypass road. They would have to go back up to Mellicent and come around Garrix Hill. And they said that it was a challenge. But up to today, I passed and I looked at that bridge. That bridge is an accident waiting to happen. That bridge has shifted below practically about 18 inches. So much so that the above side of the bridge are on no props whatsoever. That bridge is supported mainly by the center props and about 3 on the left-hand side. Now, they just closed off another bridge, Thompson Bridge, which is between St. Andrew and St. Joseph. And they said that that bridge is going to take 1 year to repair. Now, all the traffic now that used to go over Thompson Bridge got to come through Melvin Hill Bridge. And all the buses, all heavy transport now will be using that bridge. My fear is that because of what I see is happening, if persons don't take stock, we're going to have a serious accident in relation to that bridge. That is one. Erie Hill Bottom, they have a tunnel running through under the road in Erie Hill Bottom. And that is on the mine, the road is on the mine probably about 36 inches. I draw that attention to the officials at MTW on numerous occasions. And each time I draw it to their attention, they just come and they put up a new sign. Right? Once again, where they place the sign, the bridge, the road is on the line up to the point where they place the sign. Anyone who move that sign and traffic go over that area, we run the risk. That's 2. Here in Coffee Gully, the bridge in Coffee Gully, a similar thing. The road on the line over where the hogs live. And there again, I also draw that to the attention, and a similar thing happened. They just come in, every time I call or I make contact, they come brand new sign. They don't even repeat the old one that they brand new sign and they put it up. But that is what is happening in relation to the infrastructure in St. Joseph. The roads, don't talk about them. XJ725, your headlights are on. XJ725, your headlights are on. I was talking about the roads in St. Joseph. You got Suriname, you got Yearwood Road, you got Vaughn's Land #1. Sorry, it is Vaughn's Land #1/2 now. Because of the condition of the road, it has been reconditioned to Vaughn's Land #1/2. All of these roads, Ali Road, all of them are in a terrible state and really need assistance. We have an instance there in Sugar Hill, through the Ali Road, where 2 years ago, the water authority came and dug a trench to replace the pipe in the middle of the road. Backfilled part of it. No barriering, nothing so. The water come and wash out all, now you can't even drive up Ali Road. But nobody is paying no attention to these things. And you know something? Whenever I try to communicate and deal with government agencies, I don't know if they just thought to one another and decide to give me the same answer. But all of them, they say to me, Mr. Rouse, you're going to be doing this. The representative is supposed to be doing this. My response is always the same. If he is not doing it, somebody got to do it. And I see it as part of my responsibility. Now, I know that coming to St. Joseph might not have been an easy trip to a lot of you, but I'm very pleased to hear that we have a large contingent from St. Lucie. And that tells me that Verla is doing some great work, and she will be victorious. You know, with all the different comments you keep hearing, I will say to you, members of the Democratic Party, what is happening at present, the competition or the post for president, is a normal occurrence, right? You know who you would like to be your president, and by your support this evening, it tells me that support only going one way. But at the same time, we have 1 more week before this is settled. And 7 days is 1 week. But I would like to say to you all that whenever this process is settled and Verla is president, give her if it so happens that there's any difference, but you all didn't listen, you all didn't finish. I was going to say if there's any difference, I come to you all. I want us to be a unified party after the game. All hands must be on it, right? And certainly, both of my hands will be on there. And the persons that at this point in time are ratified candidates, we are doing our homework. I certainly is doing my work in St. Joseph. I am as ready as can be for any general election at this point in time. The only thing that I need now is the circular to go. Right? And I'm urging all the candidates of the Democratic Labour Party to begin to do the things as though it is an election campaign and so on. Because certainly it is. If you look in today's nation, you will see that the Electoral Voting Commission have another ad. You do not see these things happening unless there's something afoot. So don't believe that you can sit back and wait till the bell ring and then get me run. Let me start running from now. Right? And I must say that I'm very pleased with the support that I'm getting in St. Joseph. I'm very, very pleased of the energy that's being exhibited by a number of young people in this constituency. I'm also very pleased to know that there are people that are willing to tell me as it is. If they see me doing something that they believe should be done differently, they are telling me point blank, Rose, you're doing stupidness, this is what you should do. And that is what I want. I want to be able to evaluate myself, and the only way anyone can evaluate themselves if they have people that are going to be honest and upfront in their comments to them. So I give my appreciation to all those persons who, at this point in time, is really assisting me. Now, the last couple of months we had a flare in criminal activity in St. Joseph. And we had either 2 or 3 shootings up here. We had a death a couple of days ago from shooting. And even at this point, there seems to be no real effort to come to grips with, one, how these guns are being supplied in Barbados, and 2, how are so many young men coming in possession of guns. And if the fellas on the block know where they can go and rent a gun, you mean to tell me that Barbados intelligence is not good enough to show or to let them know where these guns are being rented? But you know, sad to say, and you got to be upfront, Barbados is a class society. And the upper class can do as they like. And it is the ones at the lower class that are always the one to pay the penalty. I consider myself at the lower class because I know where I come from, right? And that is why I know at times I'm taken advantage of because of my personality. But I believe that we got to begin to look at what is happening to the average person in Barbados. A lot of people are hurting. And I know persons might not be getting the calls like I'm getting, but I'm getting calls on a constant basis. And some of them are very, very genuine. And where I can, I try to help. I think that we as a people got to look to our right, to our left, and where we see our neighbors falling through the crack, try to lend assistance to them. So as I said before, I'm very, very heartened to see so many people here this evening. It is an indication of what to be, and I did not officially welcome the acting General Secretary, but I think Damien is doing a fantastic job. Now, I know that all of us at some point in time feel a little challenged, or feel a little downhearted, or feel a little disheartened by what is happening around. It is time for you, the people of Barbados. It is you, the people of the Democratic Labour Party, that must, at this point in time, hold your head up high and walk proud. Identify with the Democratic Labour Party. The same way the Barbados Labour Party members don't see anything wrong with all the stupidness that they think, and all the way they try to put our Prime Minister on a pedestal. Why can't we put our President on a pedestal? Now, I will end by sharing this with you all. Because I believe that I got to make a note of all the challenges and all the different situations that I've been through since I decided to enter elected politics. I got involved in elected politics because of Dr. Richie Higgins. And that is on the front end, from the front end of Emil Maxwell, the former owner of the Atlantis Hotel, who told Richie that the only person that she identifies in Joseph that would give the Barbados Labour Party a run is Randall DeCosta Rouse. And Richie has called me, and I told him that I'm not interested in elected politics. These are the words that he said to me. Randall, you shut up. I give you 2 weeks. I'm going to call you back in 2 weeks, and if you tell me yes, it is yes. If you tell me no, it's no, I'll accept. You know, that man called me back probably right up to the last second of 2 weeks. And that in itself impressed me. And I said, that is, with your support, I will. And that's how I got involved in elected politics. I was never interested in elected politics, right? No. I would say that it was an experience for me. I suffered by it. My sister suffered by it. My daughter suffered by it. Consequences, right? And I will tell you this. Not easy. It wasn't easy for me. My daughter was disadvantaged because of me, or my sister was disadvantaged because of me. You know, disadvantaged. I didn't really pay the negative things that were happening to me. I paid the attention to the negative things that was happening, and it have made me stronger. And let me tell you something. If you have this little party on the ground, in order to move you all, go around. Look, let me just give you 2 examples of what I'm talking about. In 2003, they paid an individual to go to the child care board and make a report that I impregnated her and refused to support the child. The welfare department called me and told me about this report. And I tell her, well, it is false. I've never been involved with the person. So I can't see why you have to come to any meeting in relation to that. He said, well, if you don't come, the next step is the court. He said, well, the court, right? 3 weeks after the general election, the next general election, the same officer from the Child Care Board called me and told me the lady had came in and said she's no longer interested in the report that she gave. Right? Let me tell you something. That lady died about 2 years ago. And before that lady died, she asked to see me. And she told me she is sorry for what she did. She told me why she did it. She was paid $1,500 by an operative at the Barbados Labour Party to make the report in order to make it look bad on me. I told her, I'm sorry, she don't have to be sorry because I'm past that, right? But she felt that she had to let me know what happened, and because she was desperate for funds, she did what she did, right? So don't think that the Barbados Labour Party is any sweetbread to deal with, right? They're no sweetbread to deal with. So when you're dealing with them, you've got to be on your P's and Q's and make certain that when they throw muck at you, that you got on the ground. You know, I mentioned that, but if I was to tell you some of the things that was thrown at me or done by this Barbados Labour Party, you all will be shocked. That's why somewhere along the line, like I got to make notations. But it has been a rough road, but I am here. I have always been committed to the constituency of St. Joseph, and it is my intention to be a servant that this constituency is properly represented whenever election is called. So I say to Dale Marshall, come off the fence. 1 minute you hear he running, the next minute you hear he ain't running. 1 minute you hear Rev Rapid to be candidate, next minute you hear Pat Paris to be candidate, right? But I would just like to raise one of the issues, and that is the building that's being done there in Bashable, which they're calling a community center. In my opinion, that is being false. That is false information. From information I have, that building, that property is being developed to accommodate the duty-free sector. The duty-free sector lobbied to have something done for them. The government accepted it, and anybody that see that property or the print for it would realize that only a small area is for a conference or whatever. All the rest are shop space and kiosks, right? But I would like to ask another question. Was the financial rules broken in relation to that project? Because I don't know if you all know, but the same graphic that they want to be candidate is the person that is doing that project nowadays, the contractor, right? And if that project costs, it says $3.1 million, my information is that that should go to tender, right? So I don't know who would follow up to see if the financial rules were broken, but certainly I believe that they were broken in relation to that project. And I'm hopeful, even though I know it might be beneficial, it will be beneficial if it is done in the right way. to the constituents of St. Joseph. But I'm hoping that the persons that used to think they craft from there, the local persons, that they would not be overlooked and just persons from the duty-free sector be given spaces on there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased that you came up this evening. Madam President, I'm pleased that you're here this evening. And by extension, read between the lines. These people here are all for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me. And I just want to say one other thing. This gentleman here, El Barra, which El Barra too, he was the other person that was interested in this constituency for the nomination to this constituency. And we both said to each other, whichever of us got the nomination, the other one will lend their full support. And I'm grateful to know that there are persons who live with the word. And the constituents and the members of this branch, we have to have a united front. Can't be a we again. So I know if there are any persons that feel that they should be on the outside, don't stay up there coming. We want to work hand in hand as a united constituency. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much.
Well, to Mr. Rouse, as a born and bred Josephine, I want to give you my personal welcome and that of the people who represent us in this parish. That is my personal endorsement to you, Mr. Rouse. Now, we spoke about cricket today. Mr. Harrison kicked the ball off with an analogy towards the sport of cricket, which is very much ingrained in my blood. And I have before me a captain that I would go beyond lengths to be on. A captain that has shown that when the chips are down, she is willing to step up and step forward. A captain that has shown me that with her actions, her words would be the leader, the precursor to all of her actions. And she has shown to me that she is the person that we can look forward to leading this country from the disposition that we are in, towards the heights where we once stood, when our forefathers would have scripted the constitution of the Democratic Labour Party. This is someone that it gives me great pleasure as chairman of this branch to welcome you, Madam President, to my parish of St. Joseph. Without further ado, let's go on to
Thank you very, very much. First of all, let me thank the St. Joseph branch for the invitation to be here this evening. And then I want to thank all of you who came. We are in different times. I don't call them difficult times, but we are in different times. And it does take some courage and some effort to step out and put on your yellow and your blue and proudly wear the logo of the Democratic Labour Party. When I arrived this afternoon, I met the contingent from St. Michael North. They were here in their numbers. And I want also to thank my devoted and hardworking comrades from St. Lucie. I know St. Andrew is in the house as well, behind Conway Audley. But none of that compared to the number of shirts that I saw in the house. They come in different colors, all carrying the same message that this is the time for Rose. I have my own catchphrase, and that is Rose for the house. But what is certain, I've only singled out those constituencies because those are the ones represented at the head table. But looking around, I see my Democratic Labour Party family out in their numbers. I am looking out at you, and my heart is light. It is not heavy at all. These are interesting times for the party. But those of us who not only understood the struggle of the last 3 years, but did what was necessary in the last 3 years, will know that we have only just begun. You were there in 2018, easily the worst time for the Democratic. You were there and did not run away. You were there when we started the restructuring of the party. I placed that date as October of 2018 when we had our retreat. We heard harsh words, we shed some tears, and left with resolve. We pressed on. You were there as our spokespersons faced an angry Barbados and an unfriendly media, but carried on anyway. You were there every step of the way, cheering them on. We reached that first year and we were still struggling. We had also realized that part of our struggle was our home at George Street. We had no money, but we had willpower. And anybody stepping into the auditorium in the last few months will have seen fundamental and significant changes. But I want to tell you that if you haven't been to George Street in the last few months, don't go until next week. Because you're going to find scaffolding all over the place as our workmen are feverishly getting us ready for annual conference. And for the first time in about 15 years, our balcony will be in use. When the COVID unit came to assess the property, because we will be law-abiding citizens, and they looked downstairs, they gave us a figure. But then they went upstairs and they had to give a separate figure. Because we have increased the usable square footage of that auditorium and we don't have any money. The George Street Auditorium was built by our forefathers in much the same way. Right. There was no government subvention back then, not that we've seen any use for the government subvention in our George Street, because we can't see that it was ever used there. But our rank and file members gave their time, their skills, their effort, their money, and their materials to get the auditorium built. And our rank and file members, not high-flying members, you know, all the rank and file members of this party have contributed to the renovations at George Street one more time. All the loose talk about $250,000, not a penny rest down in George Street, but we still getting through. All the lot of long talk about what is and is not being done, but you don't lift a finger to do a thing. Stop the talk and start doing some work for this party. Because the ordinary members are standing up for this party. I'm going to single out somebody tonight. There is a member of this party who walks with a cane. Don't put down your head. You know I mean you. Who walks with a cane and a really bad limp. And none of that stops him from pushing a wheelbarrow at headquarters. None of that stops him from lifting a paintbrush at headquarters. Stand up, my comrade, and take your bow. He doesn't have $250,000, but he has the interests of the Democratic Labour Party at heart. So don't fill up your head with all the loose talk about money that may or may not exist, because it's just a concept at this point in time. We are not interested in any airy-fairy ideas. We have work to do. And we get to work. We didn't have any time for licking any wounds in the Democratic Labour Party because the people of Barbados needed a voice. So it wasn't just about building at George Street. That was a manifestation of what we needed to do. Because making bricks from straw, has George Street looking fantastic today. But our country is in exactly the same position. All of the complaints that were made about the debt situation under the last administration, all we have had in the last almost 3.5 years is borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And I will be the first to admit that our health situation has put us in a position. But before COVID, Barbados was showing signs of recession. And borrowing to rest on money in foreign reserves has not in any way redounded to the benefit of our people. And once again, it is time to make bricks from straw. And the Democratic Labour Party has practiced doing that. And we are willing and able, and boy, are we ready to take up that challenge on behalf of the people of Barbados. And you know, that year too wasn't easy either. Because year 2 was held by COVID. But here, the Democratic Labour Party signaled its policy direction. If you listen carefully to the spokespersons of the party, people will remain the focus of any initiative for the Democratic Labour Party. And that is not an idle boast or an idle position. That is actually written in our Constitution. So it is what we are mandated to do. But when we look around, matter of fact, don't look around. When you examine your own situation in Barbados today, you recognize how much you are in need of a champion and a spokesperson of your cause. The cost of living has gone through the roof. We were told, and some of us marched to prove that it was the fault of the NSRL. But the NSRL is no longer with us. But tax after tax after tax has been visited on the people of Barbados. And one thing that is missing in the entire equation is some sense of direction from the present administration. In the almost 3.5 years, let me be generous and just call it 3 years of this administration, we have had one mini budget. And whenever you talk and challenge and say we need a budget, their spokespersons will come out and talk about the estimates. Now we know that the estimates is all about money. But we need you to spell out for us how you intend to spend that money on our behalf. We need to know how you plan to raise revenue in the first place outside of borrowing more money. We need to know what are your plans to increase revenue in the country at a time when tourism is on its knees. And whilst we recognize that tourism will be with us for a long time, it is time. We have learned enough since the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, all of the shocks to our system. Every single time we learn that we cannot rely only on tourism. And all we have seen is a government spinning top in mud, playing a waiting game for tourism to come back on stream. When this time is the right time to be exploring new ways of doing our business. This crisis is a terrible thing to waste. We are wasting this COVID crisis by not spending time making sure that we have provisions in place. This is the time when we need to be stepping up and stepping out and showing courage in our nation building. And I am not talking about the Republic. That is not nation building. Unless and until you can include our people in the conversation for the Republic, that is not nation building. But I digress. Because the conversation has to be about how we manage the cost of living that is strangling our people. How we manage the despair that is visited on families. When are we as a country going to take mental distress and mental illness seriously so that we can stop losing our young people to suicide? When are we as a country going to get back to looking out for one another and having that start from government understanding its mandate as the servants of our people to make sure that the provisions are put in place that our people can suffer less, if suffer at all? And that is why the Democratic Labour Party will continue to call for a budget. And in case you don't understand what we mean, let me explain. When can we have an economic statement, a policy statement, a directive coming from the government as to how you can raise revenue and how you can spend it for the benefit of the majority of our people? This cannot be the dream and the vision that you had when you were told to just watch. It cannot be that just a few of us that takes itself off on vacation. Now, I am not begrudging anybody vacation. I am self-employed and I know how hard it is to take a break unless you make yourself take a break. I am not begrudging anybody a vacation. But when you go on vacation at a time of crisis in the country, I have to question your dedication to the service of your people. And when you are on vacation and you show up in Vogue magazine with a banana tree over your shoulder to talk about the Republic, I have to question your dedication to the people of Barbados. When you go on vacation and you have a crisis situation in employment that calls out for leadership, because all the talk, let's be real about the legal position. I said this before and I will keep saying it, and I hope you get it. Our Constitution gives you the right to make choices in relation to your body. But it says that those choices can be cut by government where there is public health, public safety. I wouldn't go into the others because public health is the one that matters now. Nowhere does it say in our Constitution that your employer can cut it. It says government can do it by legislation. So government needs to take a stand and say what its position is. It doesn't have to mandate them, but if they are going to be mandatory, only government can do it. And we need to have something more than the most waffly opinion I have ever heard in my life coming from the Attorney General that said, yes, you can do it, but you can get in trouble, and if you get in trouble, you might have to pay, and if you do it. No! This is a moment to be decisive on behalf of the people of Barbados. Make a decision and stand by it. This is not the time to have uncertainty in labor. We saw the march last weekend, and unlike other marches, this was not an orchestrated march. This was not a march with political intent. This was a march of discontented Barbadians. And it is the job of government to be reassuring its people one way or yet another. If you are going the mandatory route, be man enough to say so, or woman enough. And if it is that you are not, stand behind that decision too, but make a decision. That is what leadership is. And sometimes you have to make hard decisions. That too is the role of a leader. It is not always that you can lead by consensus. You like everybody to agree with you, but that is not human nature. We need some certainty in our lives. Because when your livelihood is threatened, as it must be, if you are told that if you don't take the vaccine, you have to pay for regular testing, and you're working at minimum wage, and you don't even know what the cost of that test is, but I know what it costs when you're traveling, and that's $100. If you are taking that out of $340 a week, and you then have a family to feed, when already you are struggling to make ends meet, and you are at the edge of despair, because that is where our people are at. There has to be a moment when leadership stands out. Comrades, the Democratic Labour Party is ready, willing, and able to continue speaking out on behalf of the people of Barbados and to make their concerns heard. because we have to speak as a collective. We cannot be speaking individually. The trade unions, the traditional speakers on behalf of workers are silent on this issue. Silent on this issue. And we cannot pretend that we don't know why. Because one woke up yesterday and understood the import of political interference, but the rest of us understood that a long, long time ago. And don't tell me about Evelyn Graves. Don't tell me about Bobby Morris and how there were trade unionists involved in politics all along. There was a time in our history and in the history of trade unions when, in order to get validation, in order to have a voice, in order to be able to play, they had to be involved in politics. But Erskine Sandyford set up a social partnership that brought them to the table in their own right, outside of politics, alongside government, alongside the employers. And trade unions no longer need to have political affiliation in order to validate themselves. Matter of fact, we are in a time in our history where we are seeing the negative effects of the trade union movement hand in hand with government. And Lord have mercy, the trade union movement hand in hand with employers. We were told, we were warned, and I repeat it often. When the lion and the lamb lie down together in peace, the lion is dead. And we have all the examples that we need now to know that the lion is roaring and it is the lamb that is dying. But it has always been the mandate of the Democratic Labour Party to stand up on behalf of its people. And we will not shirk from that responsibility in or out of Parliament. Our voices will be heard all across Barbados on behalf of the people of Barbados, because that is what we are called to do. And so year 3 was a busy one. And I will say upfront and open, I am not afraid of challenge. I will go a little further. Last year, I took the high road. This year, I take the road that is paved. So then, right? When you are going to get in any public space and criticize my Democratic Labour Party, I will answer you. We have a place for that. We have branches, join one. We have councils, right one. You cannot burn down the house you want to live in. It can't happen. It does not make sense. And when you got notes sitting around, like mentioning my candidates to Nimro, you lost me completely. All of our candidates have substance. You heard 3 of them tonight. We have 26 of them. Some of them cannot be named because of the jobs that they hold. 27, I'm being told, I missed one, you're right, there are only 3 left to do. All of our candidates have substance. You hear them on a regular. They are making a stir in Barbados. And I am not talking about stirring up strife. I am talking about speaking up on behalf of the people of Barbados. You need to know and have firmly in your mind the direction that you want your party and your country to go. And if you don't hear people speaking anything other than self-aggrandizement, I've been told, I don't need big words. If you don't hear people doing anything other than bigging up themselves, then that is all that they have to offer. If you can't play on a team, even the umpire has a role to play in a game. If you can't play on a team, then you need to be a spectator. When Friday and Saturday come, 9 till 6, you are going to be asked to vote for the future of your country. Not just your party, the future of your country. And if you are not hearing mouthings and signalings that suggest that anybody else has anything else in their mind, then your choice should be clear. When I was doing my research, because I know some people wonder how I stand up and speak, but you can only stand up and speak if you actually prepare. When I was doing my research, I came across a saying by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We need leaders, not in love with money, but in love with justice. Not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity. I only want to add, we need leaders who understand humility. This is not a one-man show. This is not a personality issue either. Look where personality politics got Barbados today. We don't want to replicate anything that happened over on the other side. That is not what we are about. Personality politics has Barbados in Potter today. That is not our role. We pull together, and together we pull the party. And the party, being stronger for it, can pull the country along as well. I started this journey as president by saying that there are no big jobs and little jobs in this field. Anyone who has ever worked in a campaign with me, and I see some of you here tonight, will know that whether you cooked, you wash the floors, you campaign, You put up posters, it didn't matter what you did, everybody got paid the same thing. And that is because I firmly believe that we can stand up on a doorstep if our bellies were empty. So the cook mattered. We can invite anybody into our space if the place was dirty, so the cleaner mattered. Nobody would know that we were working if the posters didn't go up, so the poster boys mattered. And the boys who were stuffing the post boxes, they mattered. And every single one of you matter in the fight to bring the Democratic Labour Party back to the forefront on behalf of the people of Barbados. I didn't answer last year, I am answering this year. Because when you stand in that box, you must be making an informed choice. You must be making a decision that has longevity beyond Sunday, the 22nd of August. And if you have any doubts as to whether anybody would still be around on the 23rd of August, then your choice also is a clear one. Those of us who cried all the tears and had all the hurt and still came out publicly in 2018 will understand what I am talking about. Those that did not run and hide, yes, Fergie, you were one. Those of us who came out and worked for the last 3 years and then parachute in from anywhere with a savior complex will understand what I am talking about. Our party got here through struggle of men and women who understood that it was bigger than they were. We have people that we know of in the Democratic Labour Party that the country does not know of, but who helped craft and draft legislation that the entire country benefits from. Marjorie Lashley, I hope you are listening. I single you out for this one. We have people who work for this party without beating their chests about it. We have people who walk through the fire for this party. But whether you are religious or you just think the Bible is a good book, the stories are pertinent. And you don't have to wear a collar to understand the stories of the Bible. But the best refining happens when you go through the fire. And we, the Democratic Labour Party, have been through the fire, but we have been through the fire together. Therefore, we will come out on the other side, full, refined, trained, ready, willing, and able to work on behalf of the people of Barbados. That is what you do in a team. You don't come in when things getting good and decide that you used to walk all through the pain and mess up all the work that people have done. And you can't lay down a plan, not a policy initiative, nothing to show, but waving a check that we don't even know if it is signed and talking about payment only if you get there. We don't have that sort of fellowship in the Democratic Labour Party. Come hell or high water, we're working for this party. But enough of that. I made these statements. Because I know that a lot has been said in the public domain. We are not accustomed to managing our internal affairs in the public domain. I hope this is the last year that we conduct our business in the public domain. Because no matter what, as hard fought and as bitter as this battle has been, because yes, I saw the video complaining about personal attacks, but I don't think anybody has been more attacked than I have been, and I am not complaining to a fellow. I am just dealing with it, okay? Because let's face it, if you don't have spine and backbone, politics is not the game for you. It can't be this one. Because if the heat inside the house is too much for you, when you got to step outside, I don't know, you must spontaneously combust or something. This is not Sunday school. This is politics. But I can't come to St. Joseph and don't have something to say about the state of law and order in this country. Truly, I don't even know where to start. But perhaps the best place to start would be a video from Kadooment of 2017, when the then opposition spokesperson on law and order called for the head of the Attorney General because of a public shooting on Spring Garden Highway, Kadooment Day. That spokesperson is now the Attorney General, and one would have thought, having very publicly spoken about what needed to be done in order to fix it, including the firing of the Attorney General, and I'm hoping that he remembers those statements, but we must remind him often by posting the video. Why is it then that 3 years on, we cannot hear any policy initiatives coming from the Attorney General to deal with law and order? Just 2 days ago, in his own backyard, was the latest murder. And all know, we can't hear a peep out of the Attorney General. And on the off chance that it is because he too is on vacation, not only do we have an acting Attorney General, but we have a consultant, a former commissioner of police, who we were told was not there to be a second commissioner of police, but to advise on policy. And to this moment, as far as we know, has earned not one red cent of his salary, because we still have no policy. And every single day, we live in fear of hearing that another of our citizens' blood is flowing in the streets. Not a single policy initiative. And it is not for the lack of being told, you know, because the Democratic Party, apart from calling for the head of the Attorney General, and quite frankly, I can't see where he still has a job, but constantly constantly, the Democratic Labour Party has pointed this administration in the direction of finding social responses, because we have to meet people where they're at. You can't preach to a hungry man. He's only hearing his belly. You cannot put more judges, more magistrates, more and harsher penalties, but you don't put options in front of people. It's a risk assessment like any other risk assessment. There are families that are at stake in each one of these incidents, the victim and the perpetrator. Until we come up with responses that give economic enfranchisement across the board, and not just for a 1% of Barbadians, we will continue to have this tug of war in our society. We have said it often. We have to have it. It cannot just be a gun amnesty. A gun amnesty will get you all the old, rusty, not working, can't find the bullets to fit it no more guns. That is what you're going to get. You know I am not kidding. They're parading all of the 32 that they got in last amnesty, and not a one of them could shoot at a man straight. You have to deal with situations at source. If you don't give them other options, they will fall back to what they know. I don't know how many more ways to say it without writing it for you, but the Attorney General has been loitering for the last 3 years, and it is time that he moves off the scene. We first want him to be removed as Attorney General, and then, Comrade Rose, you have the party's backing to move him out to St. Joseph. And it is more than honorable, because all the fanfare, all the hullabaloo, all the pomp-setting about integrity legislation, that can't find its way to the floor of the House, wherever the House sits these days, in whomsoever house it may be. We can't get integrity legislation passed. We can't get freedom of information legislation passed. We can't get whistleblower legislation passed. We can't get any of these critical pieces of legislation that, let's face it, are already drafted. So even if you need to tinker with it, do it and bring it. We can't get any of that done after the whole song and dance that you made about the absence of it under the last administration, a whole next another throne speech, and you still can't get it done. But you could pass legislation on a vacation. And you could be walking, not walking away, you could be standing up in Hero Square talking about a republic, and you haven't had a word of conversation with the people of Barbados. And then you have a committee put in place with economists leading the fray. And I don't see a single constitutional lawyer or even lecturer in the mix. And then right after you make your pronouncement, we are hearing all sorts of other contrary talk coming from no one other but the members of your committee. That is a classic case of the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. But worse than that, it is all the symptom that we need to know that this too is a one-man show. We have, as the people and citizens of Barbados, to guard our democracy jealously. And y'all know what that means, because when you're in a relationship and you really like the person, you guard your relationship jealously. You're making sure that nobody is muscling in on your territory. That is the attitude that I want the people of Barbados to bring to this Republic conversation. Because I watch carefully every single ad brought out about the Republic is bathed in red. And we know our national colors. You are wearing them tonight are blue and yellow and black. And don't tell me that somebody has a problem with the broken trident and that's why you're considering a new flag. We have to be the ones to decide if our symbols stand or fall. This cannot be a one-man decision. And you cannot go and ask the private sector what they think about the Republic and don't come and ask the people of Barbados what they think about the Republic. You must consult with the people of Barbados before you make any fundamental changes to our Constitution. And don't tell me that Errol Barrow didn't have any referendum. Don't tell me that he made the decision on his own. First of all, one of the first jobs that Errol Barrow took on was the education of his people. And you can't educate people and then treat them like fools. We are not the same people that we were in 1966. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, because this past week, I had a forum with young people, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. And they want to have a say in the Republic. Their overriding position was, you can't say to us that the world that we have to live in, when y'all are done with it, that we don't have any say in it. And they have a point. They have a point. This is why any opportunity I get, I go and talk to young people, because we don't think they're paying attention. But they are more astute and incisive than we give them credit for. These young people are adamant that their voice and their position must be heard. And let's face it, in 1998, when the Ford Commission was published, they weren't even born. They have no idea what the Prime Minister is talking about. Man, we don't have any idea what the Prime Minister is talking about, because she hasn't spoken to us, she's spoken at us. We need to be consulted on the Republic, and we need to be consulted as a matter of urgency, because it is not just about the flag. It is not just about the pledge. It is not just about our anthem, because our young people in that group ask about those things. I tell you, they are paying attention. It is about the attempt to erase history by piggybacking on independence and wanting to put Republic on Independence Day. I haven't asked the people of Barbados who so proudly wear their blue, yellow, and black on the 30th of November if that is what they want. We have to be very, very careful and watch, because we were told to, but speak up, because that's how the Democratic Labour Party educated you, to speak up when you see things going wrong. And for certain, the Prime Minister has gone about this Republic conversation the wrong way. The Democratic Labour Party opened that conversation. And since the Democratic Labour Party opened that conversation, all sorts of private groups are having Zoom meetings and town hall meetings on the Republic. And I am yet to hear the government say that they're coming to talk to the people of Barbados and to hear what they have to say. The people of Barbados are regulating themselves. That means that this government is not functioning, and it is time for it to go. The Democratic Labour Party also opened the conversation on the vaccines, and the government is only now having their public forums on the vaccines, but they're a little too late. I hope it works. I hope it works. But it is always difficult to shut that barn door when the horse has bolted. All out in February last year, the Democratic Labour Party stated its position on the vaccines and had an educational program on Sunday roads. All out in February. We're in August and they're now scrambling to catch up. That shows where the leadership lies. That shows who has the interests of the people of Barbados at heart. We need to be telling our servants, because that is who we are as politicians. We are the servants of the people. We need to be telling our servants what work we want done on our behalf. We need to be insisting that we have consultation, national consultation on the Republic before we move in that direction. And I'll say it again, because people think if criticizing for criticizing's sake. The Democratic Labour Party has always supported the move to the Republic. We never thought to do it without having a conversation with the people about what type of republic you want, what type of president you want, what other changes we need to make, because let's face it, it is an almost wholesale changing of our constitution, and we should take the moment, we should take the time to decide what other changes bring us into the 21st century and allow us to face the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, and going on, because this is a living document that doesn't only speak for this time, but like those young people say, also speak for their times. That is the positioning of the Democratic Labour Party. We understand clearly what our mandate is to the people of Barbados. We understand as well that the result of 2018 was partly because we disappointed the people of Barbados in some way. We also know and understand and appreciate that how the people of Barbados felt in 2018 is nothing compared to what they are feeling now. And I will quote another another of our comrades, are you better off now than you were in 2018? And since the answer is a resounding no, then it is time, Democratic Labour Party comrades, it is time, Barbados, that we stand up and do something about it. For you, my comrades in the Democratic Labour Party, your first call to action is this coming weekend. When you get to vote on the direction that you want this party to take the country in. Your time is now. Go out and exercise that right, having been fully informed of the nature of your choices. And I am satisfied that come the 22nd of August, this party, this president, these executive, our general council, our branches, our rank and file members and supporters will all stand with and behind one another as we face down the present government and face up to them on behalf of the people of Barbados and do all that is in our power to make sure that power is returned to the people where it belongs in a democracy and where the Democratic Labour Party forever pledges to work on behalf of the people so that they can feel their empowerment in their homes, in their families, in their businesses, and feel that sense of pride that we used to have in this country, which comes along with our industry, and make Barbados a place to want to be, to live, to raise our families. That is the Barbados that we want to get back to. That is the Barbados that we strive to reach to. That is the Barbados that you vote for this coming weekend. That is the Barbados that the Democratic Labour Party will be committed to the end to fighting for on behalf of the people of Barbados. And I am excited to join you on that ride. I thank you.
Now, how do you back after Captain Clive Lloyd playing an innings typical of Sir Isaac Vivian Richards? As she said, she was leaving the balls alone outside of off stump, but she played an innings of World Cup magnitude. It takes me back to the 1979 World Cup in England when the West Indies campaigned. Madam President, I am standing here as chairman of the St. Joseph Democratic Labour Party branch, and I can proudly say that we have endorsed your presidency wholeheartedly and without any challenges at all coming from the St. Joseph branch. Fully endorsed. And I'm going to urge my comrades here this evening to endorse all of our candidates across the length and breadth of Barbados, because we heard it from Madam President, what we need to do to rescue this country from the disposition we find ourselves in today. And I'm going to ask my comrade from St. John to join us over here. And Madam President, if you can just return to the floor. And just once again, just reintroduce everyone to those sitting among us. Madam President. Mr. Worrell. And I just want to reintroduce to you all of our that are present with us, that can be named, that are here with us this evening, right?
I just want to let you know that there's who aren't here, but and can't be outed. But their commitment to cause is undoubted. Thank you.
All right, these are the persons among us that we would be casting our ballots for in the upcoming election, whenever that time comes. Thank you, gentlemen. I am reminded of St. Andrew's upcoming meeting, September 19th, correct? At their location in St. Andrew. So please be reminded and let us go out and support each other. It's an initiative that we as a branch here in St. Joseph has undertaken, that we want to support some of the other branches. So please let us show our unison and get out there and support each other. Just quickly, the Madam President would have alluded to it just briefly, but annual conference starts next Wednesday, the 18th of August, with a public rally, 7 p.m. on the evening. Their location would be announced in due course. I am told that everything will occur at George Street. On Thursday of the 19th, Executive Council report. Friday the 20th, election of officers and members of the General Council. And then at 7 p.m. would be a public rally to follow. Saturday, which is usually the big caboose. That's when most persons would show up and get involved.
Sorry, just to make sure that nothing is unclear and to go over quickly again. Annual conference this year is 5 days. There will be 3 public rallies on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. Because of COVID concerns, they're all going to be at George Street because we can have more people in person at George Street. That was the choice you were given by the COVID unit. So you can get a lot more people if you do them at George Street. And we are choosing to do all of them there because we wanted to do some outdoor stuff. And even with our ameliorations, they wouldn't allow us appropriate numbers. So the first 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But the Friday also begins the voting process. Now, we have a number of members who have physical challenges. So what we've said is from 10 a.m. on Friday till 12 a.m., we would like to make special provision with members with any challenges to come in and vote so that they have more time, more space, COVID distancing, all of that. And then the rest of the day until 6 p.m. on the Friday is general membership coming. And then again on Sunday morning from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., there will be voting again. And then the day that we always have the big speech from the president is the Sunday, and that will run as usual with the worship service and the presidential speech at 10. Yeah. So that is the definition for the annual conference so far. And you'll get a little bit more nudges about it, like electronically, over the rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you, General Secretary. Yes, so the reminder is there and more information will follow, as you said. So please get out from next week and support well, this coming week. From the 18th. The 18th, that I'm sure of. Get out there, let's support. And as I said, we are proud to endorse Ms. Perla DePisa to return as president of this party and lead us into the next general election. At that point, I would